Stop pooping on my patio.
So one thing that's a first for us this year that really we kind of glazed over because of the business and Peterbilt, but we have chickens now. We are city chicken farmers, and we have 3 laying hens. This one here, the black one is chicken pot pie. She's sassy. And then we have this black and white speckled one, who's more like a dog than anything. She'll come right up to you and doesn't care if you pick her up. This one's chicken parmesan. Now this one in back, a little bit more antisocial, but definitely got a personality. This one's chicken noodle. And first time having anything to do with chickens, and yes, it is November 14th, and we've had these chickens for maybe a little over a month. We're kind of maybe in over our heads. Winter will soon tell us that. But we're not even quite sure what this breed is. So even watching a lot of YouTube, Okadobe for one. She's wonderful. Been very educational for my husband and my kids and I on explaining what chicken breeds are and what they do. And we know 2 or 3 are olive eggers. But lately, and this has kind of been a recent thing, we have one of them, and we're thinking it's Pot Pie, the black one, is laying a brown egg or pink egg. So we didn't really get a whole lot of background information when we got these, so it's kind of interesting to try to figure out what exactly type of ladies these are. So we've had our first snowfall for the year, and the chickens weren't pretty happy about it this morning, but a lot of it's melted. And now we went to a farm in Delano earlier today, got some clean hay, and we are trying to put some down in their run so they have some clean hay to forage, to poop on, do all the stuff that chickens love to do, and also make a little pathway coming out from the coop for the winter, because they don't like touching snow. It's cold and wet, and they like to stay warm and dry. So yeah, this is the run that we haphazardly put together in about 2-3 weeks time.
Yeah, so I went out and did a tractor job for a client a little bit far away, and we got to talking, this, that, and other thing, and they were getting ready to move to Alaska, and they had 3 chickens, and said that he was going to try to sell his chickens and that kind of thing. I made the comment, I was like, hey, we kind of thought about having backyard chickens. One thing led to another, and we struck a deal, did a little work for him, and he gave us a chicken coop and 3 beautiful girls. Now with the chicken coop, they were so far away that, it was pretty much free range chickens, and that's what they like doing the most, is running around. But with us, we knew we had to have a run. It was part of city code. We actually had to get a license to have chickens and all that kind of stuff. So we had to have a run. It had to be, a certain square footage, 10 square feet per chicken. Didn't really know what we were getting into. I looked for dog fences, that kind of thing. Couldn't really find what we needed. Built a chicken run, first one that I've ever built, and kind of threw it all together. The old front door entryway kind of screened over, and if it gets cold enough, we're going to put some poly over that. Then I cut it in a hole on the side so they can go from the coop to the run. And most of the day they spend their time free ranging, which is really what they like doing best. With that, we had to do some repairs to our fence. It's not a big fence, it's a 3-foot high, 2 by 1 inch square, so small enough. So we had to make some patches with that fence. It was old, like kind of dog containment. 3-foot high was definitely enough to contain a bulldog.
Not so much Peter in his younger years.
Yeah, right?
Couple adventures there.
And the chickens flew away a couple times. Lately, they haven't really been flying over the fence, so to speak. So that's kind of how we got the backyard chickens. That's how we got the coop and built the run. And what we don't know, we're just kind of making up as we go. Today was our first trip to go see a real farmer, right? And buy some hay from him. We got a small square bale hay for, I don't know, it was $5-7, something like that. I think we gave him a $10 bill, which the box stores, you can buy Timothy grass, and that's what we did before. That was upwards of about $20 for about the same size. So we're slowly learning how to be chicken ranchers.
So here's what the inside of this thing looks like. So we've got straw in here, and we've had to watch a lot of YouTube and study this quite a bit. We've been told straw is best, especially in the winter, because straw is very dry and it doesn't retain moisture and is good for kind of insulation. That being said, we have a couple of roosting boxes with some straw in there, and just purchased from Tractor Supply today are these fake ceramic eggs. So what these do is, if you put them in a roosting box, your hens will most likely lay their eggs next to these. Some of our hens, well, we suspect one in particular has been hiding her eggs, because we've been only netting 2 eggs a day, and chickens typically lay 1 egg a day, and we have 3 chickens. So we are suspecting that one of them is hiding them, maybe underneath the coop here. You guys can kind of see, but that is for their dust bath area. Chickens need to kind of flap their wings in dust, dirt, sawdust, sand, and that's how they bathe. I kind of wonder if there's several eggs under there, because they all seem healthy. I don't know why one of them wouldn't be laying. So we're going to give this a try. This is the first time using these. There's some of these, we got a couple windows in here. Justin spent some time insulating this. We've been kind of back and forth on what we're going to do for heat. It's not uncommon in January in Minnesota, even in the Twin Cities, for us to get, overnight lows -30. And that's pretty darn cold. So we're gonna look into some heating options. Obviously that's the poop deck. Yes, it's what it's for. And then we made it at an angle so we can kind of clean it off easily. So we got this simple poultry font from Fleet Farm. It's just, I got it upside down. I'm filling it in the kitchen sink right now. Pretty expensive though, but it's got a plug attached because it's a heated font. So one thing in Minnesota that we constantly have, as everybody knows, is these frigid winters, and water is useless if it's frozen to chickens. So this will keep the water above freezing and maintain that they have water supply throughout the winter. We probably have to refill it maybe once every 5 days or so. We'll see if the colder weather changes that or not.
So let's talk about winter keeping of chickens, and with the disclaimer, we never have. So we're learning what we've researched and what we've tried to educate ourselves on. It's not so much the cold that'll hurt the chicken, it's the moisture that will get onto their comb and cause frostbite, etc., etc. And the best way to combat frostbite is to combat moisture.
She is like a dog. We kind of think that Peterbilt's soul jumped to her because she follows us around quite a bit. Yeah. Anyways, you were saying.
So on a typical barn, I mean, the eave, the soffit here is open, and it is open to the inside. So we will get, ventilation up there. What I went ahead and did was I put in a ridge vent. So I cut the top of it and made it so it's daylight. You could see straight down there, right? And then various places sell, ridge cap kits. And that's all this was. So we put in a ridge vent for the top. The thought is fresh air to come in, come down, and then naturally rise out through the roof. So that's what we're going to do for ventilation. Obviously there's the door out to the run that is also wide open to bring in fresh air. So those are our three ways. The straw, so there's no moisture in their bedding. The soffit eaves, and then the ridge vent is all going to work kind of together to exhaust humid air. When it gets down to super cold, we do have a convection, a radiant, like heat plate. Just picked it up at Tractor Supply. I'll get around to installing it. Not too worried for at least another 2-3 weeks before we actually start getting, cold for right now. They were on a farm. They look like they're healthy, so we're not too worried about the cold
They're
right
not
yet.
shivering or anything. So here's what we're feeding them. Just a layer feed. Got it from Sweet Farm. We go through these at about a month so far, but as it's been getting colder, the chickens have been eating more, so it may be a more frequent purchase that we have to make. And then we also have a bag of chicken scratch. Now this is basically just like grains and corn and stuff for them to pick and scratch at. It's good to have a combination of both. In addition to that, it's a mess here. Mealworm treats. That's kind of like a special thing you give them every now and then. That's not something that we put in their feed or anything like that, but just scatter on the ground. They bought some of this just in case, and I don't know. I'm not even really sure what this does. I didn't even buy it. Works on dog poop too. That sounds like a cat. Hey. So we've got 1 minute to sunset. The girls should be putting themselves to bed pretty soon. They're kind of hanging out over there by the pallets. So the one thing that we learned, one of many things we've learned since becoming chicken owners, is that you don't have to worry about getting them in their coop at night. They do it by themselves. So close to sunset, chickens will instinctively start to head back to their coop, or maybe run back to their coop if they're so inclined, and settle in themselves. So the really only time you ever need to get them back inside is if you have them free ranging and you're leaving the house and you don't want them being out in the backyard without you there. If you just leave the door to the run open, usually just about right at sunset, they'll go in by themselves, and then we just go back out there and make sure that they're all tucked in. Pot Pie, the black one, she's almost always the first one in. It's kind of funny. I think she likes an early bedtime. Noodle usually follows second, and Parmesan, the partier, is usually dead last. As you can see, I hear him kind of softly clucking inside there. And Miss Pot Pie, she's normally the first one in. Here they are, getting ready to go to sleep. 1, 2, 3. Good night, girls.